Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I hold many popular views, but by definition you may have heard those before, and maybe you've heard them ad nauseum. So maybe my describing the following unpopular views of mine will thus be of greater value to you. I believe that work-life balance is overrated. I get to do work I'm pretty good at and that I believe improves people's lives. So my choosing to work during hours 40 to 60 plus each week feels better to me than forcing myself to have work-life balance. The second idea I hold dear is that materialism is unwise. I drive a Toyota, currently it's a Prius, for 250 to 300,000 miles until the car becomes unreliable. I own only maybe a dozen shirts, 4 pairs of shoes, and so on, all of modest cost, no designer labels. I could give lots more examples. Not being materialistic allows me to do work that I enjoy, even when it's not remunerative. It also allows me to avoid the stressful debt. It allows me to be generous with money and time. And of course, it allows me to save for a rainy day. The third idea I hold dear is that the arts are great hobbies, but too risky career choices. I love the arts, writing, acting, directing, playing the piano, and so on. Yet despite, when I was a teenager, I played keyboard gigs at thousands of times, literally a couple of thousand times, in seeing the enormous number of starving, talented artists, I chose to avoid the long odds of making a middle-class living in the arts. And I derive more pleasure without risking poverty by doing artistic things as a serious hobby. I get to, for example, write, direct, and perform in community theater, as well as to do my one-man show. If I tried to be a professional actor, I'd be lucky to get biddy roles, and I wouldn't even be marginally self-supporting. Next item I hold dear is that higher education is overrated. I've certainly consumed a lot of education all the way through a PhD. Yet if I were to start over again, I wouldn't even go to undergraduate college. While diplomas enhance employability, I believe for all that time and money, I could have learned more of career and personal benefit outside academia's halls. Of course, many people need the structure of school and the pressure of grades to prod them to study, but I think I'm self-motivated enough to read on my own, pursue a range of real-world experiences, take carefully curated workshops and maybe courses from the most transformational instructors locally and online worldwide, all at a tiny fraction of today's cost of traditional higher education. Another item I hold dear, another idea I hold dear, is to give to those with greater potential to benefit. Today, society is moving toward additional redistribution from society's haves to the so-called least among us. Because this is something that I originally wrote in Psychology Today's How to Do Life blog, I'm not going to discuss redistribution's macro manifestations, that is, taxation and public policy. Rather, I'm going to describe here only how, as an individual, I choose to spend my time and money. My early professional career focused on helping people with a daunting constellation of challenges. But after a good few years of that, I concluded that all that exhausting effort yielded too little growth in my students and clients. Since then, I've worked mainly with people who face fewer obstacles, and I believe I've made a much bigger difference. Similarly, I donate money and time to causes that focus on helping people with high potential, for example, lower income intellectually gifted kids. And finally, the final of the 6 ideas I hold dear, and I'm sure there's more, but the 6th one is, I believe that marriage is becoming an obsolete institution. My wife and I have been married for 43 years, and we have a good marriage. Yet, I believe that today, marriage is becoming an obsolete institution, with women having greater economic viability, with the reduced stigma of single parenthood, with the growing enmity between the sexes, and that half of married couples divorce, often painfully, expensively, and protractedly. Options other than lifetime marriage, of course for LGBT as well as straight couples, are growing wiser. For example, the renewable monogamy contract of a length that the couple would agree on. In conclusion, because the aforementioned ideas are unpopular, I would imagine that many listeners to this will disagree with most or all of these ideas. I certainly would appreciate your willingness to consider them, but at minimum, perhaps my having shared my unpopular beliefs will encourage you to share yours. Speaking of encouraging, I encourage you to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you see it's appropriate right down there below, to make a comment, and if you wish, there's also a button there that enables you to share it on your social media. In any event, I do thank you for watching, and I am Marty Nemko.